Plenty of time for more of that later. Thank you all so much for coming to my birthday party. I turned 60 today. Now, back when I was in my early 40s, I was based in Toronto, and I had spent the better part of 25 years creating a career for myself as an actor, a singer, a director, and a dramaturge. And in case there's anybody in this room who doesn't know what the word dramaturge means, that's someone who works directly with writers, providing them with feedback as they are developing their new works. So anyway, everything was going great for me in Toronto. I was part of a really vibrant artistic community. I was touring across the country in a one-woman, four-character original musical. And I was making a name for myself with the company that I had founded, Script Lab, which did readings and workshops of new plays, screenplays, and musicals. But then in 1999, because of the work situation for my husband, we decided to move our family to Los Angeles. Now, I was never one of those starry-eyed actresses who was looking to make it big in Hollywood. I was a stage actor. Now, it didn't take me too long to figure out that although there was a lot of theater in Los Angeles, it isn't really possible to earn your living as a stage actor. And it started to dawn on me that I was going to have to resign myself to maybe never again making my living in live theater. And worse than that, I realized I was never going to be able to create a community again that had taken me 25 years to build in Toronto. After all, I was 44 years old. I was way too old to do all of that again. But then I happened to find what was then called the Academy for New Musical Theatre. And in pretty short order, I was accepted into an amazing community of book writers, lyricists, composers, directors, performers, and dramaturges. And for the last dozen or so years, it has been my full-time job to work with those folks. And I'm really proud to be able to say that I am the artistic director of New Musicals, Inc. Yay. So I couldn't really think of a better way to celebrate my birthday than to go to some of those writers and ask them to write some special songs just for me to sing tonight. And that first song that I just sang was written by this gentleman right here, Mr. Ron Barnett. Ron appeared on our doorstep about 5 years ago and instantly made himself indispensable. He's currently, among other things, the resident music director for our Monday Night Academy Repertory Company. And as a composer, he's worked on so many projects, but perhaps most notably with his collaborators Peter Welkin and Randy Wolf. They wrote When Butter Churns to Gold, which is a producer-driven project that we had helped develop for the Northern Sky Theater in Wisconsin. Now, it got its world premiere there 2 summers ago. It was so popular that it was remounted again last summer, and it is currently in the middle of its West Coast premiere production at the Great American Melodrama in Oceana. Yay. And Ron is just one of the many amazing writers I get to work with all the time. Obviously, I couldn't go to every one of them and ask them to write a song for me for tonight, but when I was thinking about how to put this evening together, it made sense for me to go first to my colleague and partner in crime, NMI's executive director, Scott Guy. Now, back when I was feeling sorry for myself because I thought I was never going to find a community again, that was when I received an email from the executive director of the Academy for New Musical Theatre inviting me to an event and letting me know that A&MT was looking not only for musical theater writers, but also for directors, performers, and dramaturges. And I thought, oh my God, it's a match made in heaven. So I grabbed my resume, and I headed off to that event, and as I was approaching the gentleman whose face I recognized from his picture on the website, I was thinking to myself, oh, please let me get this right. Was it Scott Guy or Guy Scott? Scott Guy or Guy Scott? Anyway, it doesn't really matter whether I got it right or not, because when I told Scott that I was looking for work as a dramaturge, he completely blew me off. He told me that no one at A&MT would ever pay me for dramaturgy. And now, give him credit, he was right, because at that time, A&MT already had one of the finest dramaturges who has ever breathed, their founding director and my mentor, the amazing Mr. John Sparks. But fortunately for me, it was around then that John was beginning to split his time between LA and Chicago, and it turned out that A&MT really did need somebody who could be full-time in LA. So Scott started talking to me first about helping to form the Monday Night Academy Repertory Company under the guidance of the amazing Joshua Finkel. And also about becoming associate artistic director, although he also confessed to me that there was no salary to go along with that title. And that if I wanted to have a real job with a real salary, I was going to have to put in the sweat equity and create a position. Or, as Scott was fond of saying, I needed to make an Elise-shaped hole. So I set about doing that. I think I did a pretty good job of it. Or, as Scott is also fond of saying, not only did I create an Elise-shaped hole, I fell into it and I can't get out. Not that I would want to, because I get to work alongside an amazing collaborator. We are fellow A-type personality workaholics, and we share a passion for making this organization work. And then there's that little side perk of the fact that Scott happens to be a pretty darn good book writer lyricist in his own right. And over the years, with a series of dead composers, which are the kind he usually likes to work with, he has written a whole bunch of really amazing, creative, innovative, out there kind of roles for me to play all over town. For my 50th birthday, he wrote a 2-person song cycle based on that best-selling novel, The Elements of Style by Strunk and White, which he called Der Strunk and Whiten Lieder, and I played Apostrophe. He also wrote Spellcasters, which was an evening of 2 one-woman musicals. The first half was a 70-minute dramatic opera called The Last Words of Sycorax, in which I played the dying sorceress Sycorax, who was the mother of Caliban from The Tempest. Oh, did you see it? Oh, wow. Good thing, Amy. Not too many, and nobody came back a second time. But I loved it. The second half of the evening was a more comic but rather dark piece in which I played Queen Mab, ruler of all the fairies, who had commanded her fairy court to attend her bridal shower on pain of death. And that was called Queen Mab's Alarmingly Mandatory Bridal Shower. More recently, he wrote Frogs in the Living Room, a 2-person musical in which he played Frank Lloyd Wright, and I played Aileen Barnsdall, the wealthy LA patroness who was credited with launching Lloyd Wright's West Coast career by hiring him to come out and build her home in Hollywood, the Hollyhock House. So he's written all these amazing parts for me, but tonight, Scott has decided to eschew his usual curmudgeonly attitude towards life and cynicism. And he has created this, he has created this uncharacteristically and unabashedly sentimental tribute to my journey as an artist and as a woman. Oh, and I'm not gonna need you for this one, Ron.